For the past 50 years, criminals in Britain have been stealing cars, using them to joyride, commit crime, or selling them to other criminals who break them into pieces and sell the parts.
There are some very serious offenders stealing high-value vehicles. It's a growth market, if you like, for car crime.
But now, car criminals are changing the ways they get their hands on our cars, forcing us to use new technology to stop them. Cameras and forensic science.
This grease has got a sort of a unique DNA code in it. As anyone touches that, it leaves a trace onto your hand and onto your clothing.
Police, tonight, the truth about car crime. We discover what the 21st century thieves are up to.
Do you wish me to attempt stopping them?
How they do it.
Groups of youths are breaking in and terrorising the occupants for the sole purpose of stealing a car key to steal a car.
And why we put the security of our cars before our personal safety.
I wasn't able to protect the house and the family. It's quite a sort of strong sense of being violated.
Britain has always been a nation of car lovers. Every year, we spend over £20 billion on our cars.
We love our cars very much. There's always the desire to have the latest, newest model. If someone's car is stolen, it's not just the physical loss of the object. It's a real personal blow. It's a huge shock to the system.
In Sheffield, a stolen car careers around the streets as its driver desperately tries to avoid capture. Its owner doesn't even know it's been stolen yet. She's still asleep at home. He took it when he broke into her house and stole her keys, along with other valuables. The police call this a two-in-one burglary, and it's one of Britain's fastest-growing new crimes.
We're now on South Green Lane towards Concourse Sports Centre. Speed.
But this time, the car thief is out of luck. He's got one of Sheffield's fastest policemen on his tail, PC Tim Scothern.
We're into Concord Park and it's going out to the fields.
Two-in-one burglaries are growing at an alarming rate because our 21st century cars are becoming almost impossible to crack or start.
The reality is these days you can't steal a car. Anything post 98, you can't steal that car unless you've got the key, because there are a number of other devices that will prevent you doing that.
In the 90s, things were different. Car security was not a priority. Car crime was rampant.
Nearly 90% of new cars can be broken into within 2 minutes, so failing Home Office security guidelines.
Virtually out of control.
Theft was at an astronomical rate, and the insurance industry in the UK was paying out more money than they were actually getting in.
You could twist the wheel of a car, break the steering lock effectively, put two wires together and off you would go.
Joyriding was at its peak. Once a few police officers had been run over and killed by joyriders, it had to be looked at quite seriously.
In those days, the car makers rarely thought about crime prevention.
Cars expert demonstrated how a professional thief can get through a lot within seconds.
That's 11 seconds.
And that's typical. Out of 72 cars tested, only 8 met the Home Office guidelines.
The police used to say you can open any Ford Cortina with any Ford Cortina key, and it was true. Various governments had been moaning and groaning at the car manufacturers for a very long time and saying, look, couldn't you just do something? None of them were particularly interested. There was no reason why they should, really. I mean, if your car got stolen, you went out and bought another one.
All that changed when the powers that be introduced a new strategy. They started naming and shaming the cars that were the easiest to steal.
The effect was dramatic. The Home Secretary invited all the manufacturers into the Home Office, waved the report at them and said, look here, this is where you're all ranked. And of course, nobody wanted to be top of that list. And they all went, we better do something about this.
What they did was set up this place, a special facility designed solely to try and break into every type of car in Britain. How quickly they managed it translated to a rating system, which insurance companies used when calculating premiums.
In 1993, we were asked to look at ways of reducing the cost of vehicle theft. And since then, we've been working hard on a global basis with all the vehicle manufacturers to reduce the ability of a thief to either get into the vehicle or take the vehicle.
This brand new luxury car will soon go on sale with a hefty price tag, provided it can survive the Thatcham attack test.
Thieves do not want to be stood outside a car attacking the vehicle for very long. The attack test for Thatcham's criteria is quite a hard regime for that. We look at the door locks, the doors themselves, the alarm system. The security package you will find on the small city car today is equal to a much more expensive car 10 years back.
In a little over 20 years, Britain has gone from having the worst car security in the world to probably the best.
Looks like the attack at the top has succeeded as it should. No entry into the vehicle.
You failed to get in.
If you were to buy a vehicle from any other market, say France, Japan, it doesn't come with the same package to reduce the chances of that vehicle being stolen. And we've got so used now to achieving these standards and maintaining these standards that other markets are looking to catch up with us. A UK spec security package means you need the key if you want to steal it.
There are now more than 27 million cars on Britain's roads. According to government figures, the amount of stolen cars as we knew it has fallen by 50% in the last 10 years. But the truth is, a great deal of car crime has simply moved on.
The profile of car crime's changed quite dramatically now. There are some very serious offenders stealing high-value vehicles, they're cloning vehicles. This is an opportunity, it's a growth market, if you like, for car crime.
Today's car criminals are more organised, more dangerous. Now cars are being stolen to order by organised international gangs who make big money.
If you've got something in the region of a £30,000 vehicle, it may be £1,000 for the thief, it may be £5,000 or £6,000 for the shipper, and then it may be another £10,000 from the guy at the other end. But all through the chain and all through the life of that car, people are making a profit. The only people that are making a loss is whoever actually owns the asset.
It's not only the loss which hurts, there's an emotional price to pay too.
The impact on the individual is just unbelievable. It's pressure, it's violence, it's shock. It's just about every worst emotion you can have in a split second. And then on top of that, you see your second most valuable asset disappearing. And so I think violence to secure a vehicle is a particularly devastating crime.
These days, car makers take the fight to the criminals to try and stay ahead of the game. The manufacturers need to be even smarter than they are.
Car crime has changed. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's changed because the criminal has changed. It's an organised gangs, it's run like a business, and we have to react to that. As fast as their technology is advancing, our technology has to advance.
The only change is it's the carryover handle. The handle frame is new, but it's followed on the same design. It's
We have a dedicated team so we can react very fast to that, and their job is to educate the designers as fast as possible to make these changes. And I think we'd all agree that that's OK to proceed to manufacture, but we'd give that an OK subject to an actual attack test. So actually we're saying it's suspected that these criminals are actually purchasing vehicles, stripping them down, doing the analysis on the vehicles and coming up with ways to overcome them.
One of the tests we always try and do is you have to kind of put yourself in the position that the thief's in. He can't afford to spend 3 or 4 weeks going, oh, well, maybe I can get in this way or get in that way. He's actually got to be determined. You've got to remember that this is this guy's daily bread. This is like me turning up for work here. He's got to get on with his job and get it done quickly.
Yeah, but it's just
for as long as we're making desirable cars, people are going to want them and people are going to steal them. The focus needs to be the whole picture, not only why they're stealing the vehicles, but how they're stealing the vehicles as well. The key is what they're trying to get from you now. Don't leave that key lying around because that's what they're after at the end of the day.
The key is now what every crook wants, and 21st century cars no longer have bits of metal. Their smart keys virtually tell the engine to start. Forensic locksmith Ron Cliff is working with the police to make car keys even smarter.
Forensic study of car keys can actually almost tell me what occupation you're in. It can tell me how many times you've used the key. It can tell me in its memory the mileage that was recorded on the last time you used it. When it's put into the ignition switch, this is interpreted by the immobiliser system on the vehicle, and that then tells the engine we can start up.
The key is the key to the vehicle, effectively, and it's the key to committing the crime. So the criminals now have to look at more sophisticated methods.
Sophistication means targeting the car you want and then either breaking into and entering its owner's home or finding another way of getting the keys.
A recent trend that we've seen is actually people being targeted whilst they're in their house. Now, historically, a burglar would burgle a house because they wanted the person to be out. Now a burglar targets the house because they want the person to be in, because if they're in, the car key's there, and therefore the car is there.
In Lewisham, South London, there's been a spate of expensive cars and their keys being robbed while people are at home. But there is no sign of any break-in. The cars seem to have just vanished. Clara Okiyasami didn't know her car had been taken until she went to get her keys from the usual place.
I was wondering, did I lose my key? Did I drop it outside the house? But I was absolutely certain I had it on that table because I hadn't used the car for a few days. So I went out looking for the car. I couldn't remember where I parked it. I walked the whole length of the road up and down a couple of times, and I couldn't find it. I told my husband, so he came out, and we both walked up and down the road. We couldn't find the car. We were knocking on neighbours' door asking, did you see anybody taking the car? We realised there was another incident, a car theft here on this road. Hello, is that the Lewisham Police? I want to report about a car theft.
Investigating was PC Jim Horan, a cop that's been around long enough to know the tricks these thieves were using to make the cars disappear.
On this borough, we've had quite a few hook and cane burglaries over the last few months. Just using a device to go through the letterbox and hook people's keys up and then stealing the cars from outside their house. I've read of incidents where people have woken up in the night because they've heard a noise, and one in particular I read was the man came to the top of the stairs and he said that his car keys were floating in the air in front of him. And that was someone had hooked his car keys up and was pulling it out of the letterbox.
Now I can see how they could have done it to hook the keys out from there. And they even told us that sometimes people have lost it leaving it in the kitchen, the extensions. are put on these rods to lift it out?
I think they probably just look through the letterboxes. If there are nice cars parked directly outside, they look through the letterbox and they see the keys there, then they'll have them away. We had one particular house about 6 months ago that had 3 cars stolen from outside their address in one night. And everybody had left their keys sitting in plain view.
But the thieves weren't so clever when it came to getting away. 2 days later, PC Horan spotted Clara's car being driven in a nearby street. After a short chase, the driver was arrested.
For me, it was quite nice because he's quite well known to us, and we're longing to catch him actually in a stolen car, so it was very nice.
The car was completely undamaged. But Clara's confidence was shattered.
I hated driving it back, in fact, from the pound. It was awful just to see. It was collecting something that was lost and abused. I was very uncomfortable. For a few nights, I didn't sleep very well. You know, I thought I'd be watched and I'll be attacked or got at.
There's money to be had by stealing these high-value cars. I think people are lulled into a false sense of security. They'll walk in, I've done it myself, you throw your keys down, walk off, and you think that if anyone's going to break into your house at night, you'll hear it. But they don't actually need to get into your house. All they need to do is open your letterbox.
And even when you find a safe place for your keys, there's no guarantee you'll hang on to your car.
We never used to see violence for theft of vehicles. We now see that violence in many different forms, from carjacking at the side of the road, from burglaries and people being terrorised in their own home. Groups of youths are simply breaking in the early evening, forcing their way through the door, storming a house, or simply putting objects through a rear patio window and terrorising the occupants for the sole purpose of stealing a car key to steal a car.
Bath in Somerset, far away from the hustle and bustle of London. When Dr. Yassin moved here, he thought it would be the perfect place to bring up a young family.
There we go. We actually chose the town because of its safety and security record. It was one of the positive reasons why we came here.
As a medical consultant, Dr. Yassin relied on the 2 family cars that he kept parked in his driveway. He also kept his keys safe.
Keys would usually be sitting here on arrival. We had keys sitting in the lock, the mortise lock. Because the family was here, we felt safe.
Until they woke up one weekend.
Sunday morning, my wife came downstairs from the bedroom, noticed that the rear doors were lying open, and the first thing she'd noticed was that her bag and her computer case was no longer there. So she immediately realized that we'd had a burglary, and when she called me, my first reaction was, are the car keys still there? And of course, they weren't. And as we looked over to the back alleyway, the cars which were parked there had both actually gone.
It was then that Dr. Yassin realised he'd become another 2-in-1 victim.
We believe that they came through the front of the garden. They would have spied the keys through this window here, managed to open the doors, and then basically took off. The cars was lying there, and that was it. It was gone. It was apparently so easy for them to do that.
The reason it was so easy dawned on Dr. Yassin soon afterwards, and it frightened him.
As I was coming home, I noticed that there was an older vehicle actually parked in our cul-de-sac, and it looked unusual, and certainly wasn't one of our neighbours' vehicles. I do believe that we were being watched in the week before this crime actually took place, and that people were noticing how we behaved as a family, and that's the most worrying aspect of it. Perhaps a half-mile radius We were aware of another 5 vehicles being lifted on the same evening. And so, these are all, you would call them, high-value vehicles, BMWs, Audis, that sort of thing. Sorting out the finance on the old vehicle, which we hardly had for
It wasn't only the theft of the cars which hurt the Yassin family.
There was an identity theft here as well as the car theft, which created a major issue for us because we simply had no credit cards. Everything had to be cancelled, and things like passports and driving licenses were also taken. Well, now we lose all our no-claims bonuses, and of course, the premiums go through the roof as well. So,
But for Dr. Yassin, the biggest nightmare wasn't the money.
That night, I was actually there, and despite the fact that I was there, I felt though I wasn't able to protect the house and the family. And me personally, there was quite a sort of strong sense of being violated, in fact. The Nissan GTR. That's like my old 350Z, isn't it? Yeah?
Just the front.
Just the front looks the same. However, I was quite incensed by a local report after perhaps residents should actually take their keys to bed with them. Now, the last thing I want, with a young family at home, is for intruders to be searching around, traipsing around the house, creating all sorts of mayhem and almost terrorization of the family. It's probably better that the keys were actually in a visible location, that you didn't have further intrusion around the house.
Not all car thieves take your car. Many steal from your car to make their living. In Britain, on average, 3,000 cars are broken into every day.
Theft from cars, it's a nuisance. But some of it's more than a nuisance because it's supporting other crime, like organised crime.
In West London, the police have set up a task force to try to do something about it. Hammersmith and Fulham is one of the capital's richest boroughs. Here, they are parking special decoy cars known as rat traps in crime hotspots. This is not random bait, but high-tech lures with a sting. They catch the criminals on tape.
If you're looking into a car to break into it, in Hammersmith and Fulham, it could be any one of our cars. And if you look at the footage on there, you're stuffed. Simple as that.
Sergeant Ash has been running these operations for 4 years.
Go anywhere, to be honest, in this one. Once you've got that UV grease on your hands, you've either handled the stolen item from this car or you've been in this car.
The cameras used to video the thieves are tiny and well hidden.
What the boys are just working on now is just to making sure that when the camera's in there, they are completely discreet and no one can see them, and that all the technology that beams all the pictures back to us and everything is all working correctly as well. We've got to remember, in Hammersmith, you've got, it's a nice area. Fulham, it's a very affluent area, and not everybody drives sort of Fiestas like I do. So you've got nice cars that are getting broken into, so we've got to respond to that. So we can have anything from these nice sporty-looking cars. We've used BMWs, Mercedes, anything and everything, really. And the idea is that no one knows what it's going to be. If you don't have your insurance, you drive on a road, we can now take your car and seize it. Before it gets crushed, we can turn it into one of these, and it can get used, in a more productive way than driving around with no insurance on the road. You can have a look inside here. You can see inside the vehicle. For all intents and purposes, this is a normal Alfa Romeo. Nice one, I must admit. It's got several cameras. I'm not going to say how many or where they are, because that would be silly. In the back here, again, everything looks completely normal. So a would-be thief would look in here and think, this is a normal car, and try and grab what's on show. And then hopefully we'll grab them.
Today, they're putting their rat trap into a busy shopping street in Hammersmith, an area where thieves like to steal from cars.
From what we've found is a lot of times they just look for sort of, you know, sat-nav cradles that are stuck in the corner. They look for the sucker mark. And then most people, because sat-navs are bulky, most people don't carry them around with them. They think that they're, you know, left in the car, so they break into the car to get them.
The trap is set. But there's no need to hide around the corner and wait for this team. Their car will text them when it's broken into.
It alerts us straight away, we know instantly, and it's not a big place, Hammersmith, so as soon as someone breaks in, we could be there within a matter of minutes.
While the culprit is also being caught on camera.
The facility in there, we can record for over 2.5 weeks. I think about 20 minutes is our record going out. Others we've had out for, you know, a couple of weeks, so it's a matter of we just put it out, and then when it gets done, it gets done.
News of the video rat traps has spread on the criminal grapevine, and thefts from cars in this part of London has dropped by 16% in the last year. But as car crime figures go down, so too does the police resources.
In terms of vehicle crime at the moment, it's very much seen by a number of police forces across the country as not sitting in their high list of priorities. There's a tremendous amount of effort going on into counter-terrorism, which is entirely understandable, and the current trend in policing thinking is that the neighbourhood and the safer neighbourhood is where the general public would want the policing focus to be, and I can understand that. And as a result of that, a number of squads have disappeared, including stolen vehicle squads.
Basildon, Essex. Another car crime hotspot. Many residents here have been suffering at the hands of the car criminals.
It all happens, as you can see, the glass. This is from another person that's obviously been done. Car's been broken into.
Dale Burns is possibly Essex's most unlucky motorist. Every vehicle he's kept in this car park has been either vandalised or stolen.
You get new people coming in Parliament, and straight away it's all on telly, the car crime's gone down. But the realistic is, you come down this area of Essex and the car crime's on the up. You buy a cheap car, used to take it. You buy an expensive car, the bigger criminals end up taking it. So what do you do? In the last 6 weeks alone, I've had one car stolen, which was returned to me. It was stolen again the following week. It was burnt out. I purchased another van that was broken into, and then just after that, me Pride and Joy was stolen, which was my Subaru.
The Subaru, or Scooby as it's sometimes nicknamed, is every boy racer's dream. Dale Burns saved £3,000 to buy one, customise it, and join this Scooby club.
Well, being here today, it brings back good memories, brings back bad memories. Brought it all back, like, you know, sort of devastated once again. My car was very similar, apart from mine was actually silver. It had the low cut vent and the high cut vent, but apart from that, it was pretty much the same.
Getting it to look pretty much the same cost Dale a bundle, and he didn't have enough left for the latest security devices. As it was off the road while he worked on it, he didn't need insurance either, or at least he thought he didn't.
I come out one evening about 11:30 at night, to be told that my Subaru is not there. I didn't believe it myself, went down to the car park and it wasn't.
And then the local police told Dale they couldn't find it.
That was the breaking point of me, really, when the car was stolen. The police weren't doing a great deal for me in trying to find a vehicle, so I just sort of tried to take the action in my own hands.
For the past 4 months, Dale Burns has been a one-man police force.
I've only had this van sort of, well, 10 days coming up 2 weeks, and I put 3,000 miles on the clock, just literally driving around Basildon, Essex, Wickford, Chelmsford, trying to find my car. You know, all the hotspot areas where thieves could have dumped it, burnt it out, or anything, you know. It was only yesterday I was actually sitting down with my girlfriend, you know, she wanted me to go to the doctors. I could have started suffering a bit of depression. But to be honest, I really can't afford to be going to the doctors and wasting time. I need to try and find my car and get on with my life, really.
Dale Burns is not alone. The car crime figures might be down, but the chances of getting your car back if it is stolen are the slimmest they've ever been.
Fewer people are being taken to court for car crime. 10 years ago, it was around 90,000, and the most recent figures show only around 30,000. And the question there is very much, is that because fewer thefts are taking place, or just that fewer people are actually being caught? We would think fewer people are perhaps being caught.
In West London, Sergeant Ash and his team are still waiting for a text from their rat trap.
Get a picture of a criminal. This is where the Peugeots are all getting hit, around this area. So if we stick them in one of these little side roads. Is the car ready?
They've also got another trick up their sleeves. More 21st century technology. An invisible ultraviolet grease that will indelibly mark any criminals who touch it.
This grease has got a sort of unique DNA code in it. As anyone touches that, it leaves a trace onto your hand and onto your clothing, and you can wash it, but a trace of it still remain behind, certainly in the creases of your skin and things.
This special anti-crime grease is made 200 miles away in Wales. In this secret laboratory, scientists are working with the police to find new ways of beating car crime.
The only place where this code exists is in that single pot there and in the product once it's marked. It doesn't appear in nature, it doesn't appear in blood, it doesn't appear in the environment. It is absolutely unique. If you look at the hand here, you can see it's bright blue UV, which is indicative that the grease, even though that's been wiped off on the clothing, would be there, and that we would get any swab that we took from that would then still be that bright, and we get good evidence of it. We've never called a wrong code.
Back in West London, Sergeant Ash is getting the text he's been hoping for.
He's forcing the door back, and the idea is to try and get in and release the locks here, and they can't release these locks because they've got deadlocks on. Smashes it in, but what he's not banking on is the bank of cameras in there capturing him. He's been identified by several of the officers on the team, and like all the ones we've had before, we imagine and anticipate them putting their hands up, because not much else they can do really when you look at the footage.
Dawn the next day, and more work for Sergeant Ash and the team.
Thanks everyone for coming. Operation Triple Crown, which is our ongoing operation to combat motor vehicle crime in Hammersmith. And
they're going to arrest another unlucky rat caught in the trap.
Here breaking into the vehicle back in December, which he was successfully caught on. The intention today is to enter the premises under a search warrant issued by West London, and to search for any stolen goods as a result of anything from the thefts from motor vehicles, and of course arrest him for the offence of theft that we spoke about. And that's it. Short and sweet, let's go do it. We know he's linked to motor vehicles, having caught him breaking into one of the Sting ones already. But he's also linked forensically to breaking into a member of the public's car in Fulham. So essentially what we're looking for is two parts today. One part, the actual search warrant, which is we're going to be searching for any stolen goods. So not just things like mobile phones, sat-navs, tom-toms, laptops, all those sort of things, but also looking for things that could be sort of the proceeds from crime, or things to use to break into cars. So any sort of glass hammers or anything that could be used to break into a car, something we'll be looking at recovering. Let's go.
Police! Stop! Police! Police! Who's in the house?
My son.
Stephen, do you understand what's going on? Got a search warrant to search the property for stolen goods. No, and we've come to arrest you for breaking into a Mini in St. Road. Okay?
On this way.
We've essentially got a number of what we believe is stolen property inside. So we've got a mobile phone's been blocked by the network, so we suspect it to be stolen. Lots of stuff like laptop chargers and things like that, so he's also been arrested and handling stolen goods, so quite a result.
As the car cops make it tougher for the car criminals, some are turning away from their traditional means of making a living to target the freight which is carried on Britain's roads.
We're talking very big money. These people, on average, are earning, hundreds of thousands of pounds a year. It's, it's a very lucrative business to be in.
Well, they've asked if we have TPAC. I've told them we don't, so they're asking, can we go ahead under a rolling block? Over.
Robbing freight trucks isn't new, but it is now on the increase again. The goods they can steal are easy to sell.
They will go to any length to try and get these goods. It can be very, very violent. It's been known, 10 or 15 people go and hijack 2 vehicles, and they will turn up armed.
Over 40 freight crimes are now committed every week on the roads of Britain. Many of them take place here, on the motorways of England's Midlands.
Any arterial route from the ports, such as the A14, and certainly the West Midlands is a bit of a black spot if you're looking at hijackings, especially metal theft.
PC Nairn has been fighting freight crime for 8 years. He likes nothing better than dealing with heavy goods vehicles and the truckers who drive them.
My background is mainly the commercial vehicle side of it. I started many moons ago on trucks. I had a few years in timber haulage up in Scotland and the northwest of England. So I've got quite an extensive knowledge of the haulage industry as such, which is part of the reason why I tend to do more of the HGV side than anybody else.
PC Nairn is on a mission, looking out for hijacked trucks. In the past few weeks, there have been a spate of hijackings.
A lot of criminals who know their stuff, they're going to know where the high value loads are going, then they're going to try and get it one way or another.
In South London, they're also after freight thieves. This police team from Lewisham are once again using decoys in areas where freight is being increasingly stolen.
We're looking at a decoy van that we're placing into known vehicle crime hotspot locations. These locations have been identified via intelligence and via crime patterns and crime figures.
PC Tungat has been fighting vehicle crime with decoys for 5 years. He started with motorbikes, setting traps for London's unsuspecting bike thieves.
It's a tried and tested method. It's been used many, many times before. It's a disruption technique. We're looking at deterring criminals from committing crime in our hotspot areas.
Bigger fish mean bigger decoys. Today, PC Tungat's team are after freight thieves who have been stealing goods from unattended delivery vans. The boxes contain wood.
It's got to be 1/3 closed. That's the problem.
The debate isn't about how to catch the crooks. It's about how to bait the trap. How far open can you carelessly leave a shutter before a thief smells a rat?
What I'm saying, you need it in a position where, if a normal person's walking past, they can look in without having to physically look. If they're looking and just seeing what
If you're
they're looking
saying 1/3 down, if you did put it to there, that is going to be 1/3 down. And you've still got your vision.
Yeah.
But leaving that where it is.
How far down does that go? Is that as far down as it goes? The roller shutter basically has got to be pulled down 2/3 of the way so that we're not actually saying to people, look, here's a present, go take it.
If you do that, it's going to be too much.
That's going to be too much.
Yeah,
for them.
that's what it's got to be.
They've got to literally jump onto the van, enter it, take the property, and leave the van before we can actually arrest them.
They're going to want to be able to see what's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah?
We'll leave it like that, see how it goes.
Try the first one.
The undercover cop, whose job it is to park the decoy, is fitted with a microphone and earpiece.
Yeah, you normally get very good results with them very quickly. I'm afraid that's the sort of people we work with.
It's not good enough to tempt the thieves into snatching the goods. They've got to catch and arrest them at the scene, and that means backup.
Unfortunately, intelligence isn't an exact science. If we knew where crime was going to happen all the time, then obviously we'd be there to prevent and detect it. But the only difference between this van and every other delivery van in London today would be the fact there's 20 police officers hoping that someone steals from it. So let's hope that we're lucky.
Being lucky is not the only thing. They need to be quick too. The Crown Prosecution Service has said they can't leave the decoy out for long.
We'll only leave the van out 15 minutes at a time. It's the time when a delivery driver to knock on a door and deliver the goods. Unfortunately, longer than that, people become a bit suspicious. Once we have the area secure and contained, that's when the delivery vehicle will go in.
Driver out, just go into the back of the vehicle now.
And the delivery van will be opened up by our van driver, a package taken out as if he's going to deliver it, and he'll then go to a safe location.
Driver now walking away from vehicle. Oh.
Is there much room? Is there much room through there?
Sorry?
Is there much room out there?
Yeah, there's plenty. I'll put quite exactly where you've said.
Oh, excellent.
Are you in?
And then it's a waiting game, waiting for the subjects to come along and have a look inside our bounty full of goods.
The waiting is the worst part. Their time is up. Another hotspot must be found.
Laters, losers.
See you in a bit. We don't really know what's going to happen. We don't know who's going to go to the van or the type of person. Or sometimes we may have to get involved and detain them. And this is literally because we don't want evidence destroyed. We don't want to burn ourselves out straight away, so we want to do a controlled stop if we can.
Meanwhile, in the Midlands, PC Nairn is dealing with a different sort of cargo.
Yeah, it's all received. Got both vehicles stopped. 26 of Elite 5.
Not an HGV, but a caravan and mobile burger stall, driven by a woman and her daughter. PC Nairn suspects something is amiss.
Yeah, it's your number plate, the caravan. It's not the same as the one in the car.
We broke down with the other vehicle today.
How many vehicles do you own? 2 or 3?
Yeah, 3.
And who's the caravan?
Mine.
PC Nairn is beginning to realise his instincts were right.
Somebody at some time has forced the door open, which also sort of leads you to believe that it's a stolen caravan or it has been stolen at some point.
The woman's daughter is not in the clear either.
I'll speak to you as well.
He wants to check out her burger bar.
Do you have a licence to tow a trailer?
Yeah.
How long you held your licence?
7 years, I think.
Right. Have you checked to see that you do have the category on the licence to tow a trailer?
Well, I haven't got it on there.
Right. I'm going to then check the young lady's details out, because a lot of people, they just think they can drive and tow trailers, etc. But the classification on the licence might not cover it to tow a trailer on the back of this pickup. So if that happens to be the case, then she goes no further.
While PC Nairn waits for feedback on the fast food van girl's licence, there's news on the caravan.
Can I have a caravan check as well, please?
But it's not an open and shut case yet.
The insurance company might well say that it's been sold on. They could have recovered it, could have sold it on to this family. But they might turn around and say, no, it's still outstanding stolen, we've never had it recovered, so therefore, as far as they're concerned, it is still a stolen caravan.
In the meantime, the young woman towing the burger van is in trouble.
Right. Unfortunately for you, you don't have the category in your licence to take trailers in the back of the pickup.
I don't.
No, you don't. Which means you're not allowed to drive any further.
Right.
But at the same time, because of the fact you've driven this far, you have committed an
And I've been driving
offence.
for 70 months.
You have committed an offence. You're driving what they call otherwise in the corner.
Offence in my life.
You have now.
Honest to God.
Yeah, honest to God, you've committed an offence. I have to give you a piece of paper, which is a ticket.
Yeah.
And that then gives you the pleasure of £60 fine. And that nice clean licence that you've got, it's now going to have 3 points in it. If you want to tow a trailer, you've got to take a test.
In South London, Sergeant Wilson and his team have now moved their decoy 4 times. Frustration is setting in.
We're doing such a good job, there's no crime.
Exactly.
And they're running out of time. They're in the Last Chance saloon.
Spot 1, are you Yes, in position.
Still no hit. Maybe it's because the shutter wasn't in the right position after all.
It's people are confused, aren't they? Whereas with a shutter, you know, all you've got to do is do that. Whereas with the tailgate, they probably walk past me, how the bloody hell to get that down? Do you know what I mean? Because they're not the sharpest tools in the box, are they?
But now there are 2 men showing an interest in the back of the van. And it looks like they're starting to make a move. Unfortunately for the team, it's too late.
Driver is now returned to decoy vehicle. It's a shame, isn't it? I can leave there for 15 minutes. We had a couple of guys that stood by the van just as we were taking it out, discussing who was going to jump on board the van and take the PlayStation. So unfortunately we didn't get anything there. It's so frustrating for us. Unfortunately it's what the CPS have decided that's the length of period of time to leave it in situ so that we're not provoking someone to steal from it.
Mrs Jones!
The waiting is over for PC Nen.
Can we seat my car then out to speak to you? Got something to explain to you.
The insurance reporters come back on the caravan.
Right, unfortunately, I've got some bad news for you. The caravan's a stolen caravan.
It was stolen 100 miles away in South Yorkshire.
Right, had it how long then? 3 years.
3 to 4 years, I can't remember a van like that, you know.
The caravan's actually stolen 3 years ago. Literally to the week. Okay, so wherever it's come from, you've had it fairly soon after it's been stolen. Because of that, I'm going to tell you that you're under arrest just now on suspicion of handling stolen property.
The caravan will now be towed away and impounded after the family remove their stuff from it.
We'll be as quick as we can, Carly, so...
You be as quick as you can, really.
Yeah. When it was new, it would be somewhere in the £16,000, £18,000. At some point, it would have been somebody's pride and joy. 3-5, go ahead, over.
As commuters race to get home, the lorry drivers keep on trucking until the law forces them to stop. Every 8 hours, they must pull over and rest to lessen the risk of horrific accidents. But the safety law has created a new danger, a new crime risk. Sleeping or dozing truckers are sitting targets for hijackers or thieves.
There just isn't enough secure parking. They might be on the road for 7 days, they have to sleep in the cab. You know, They have to park in lay-bys. It's quite a worrying time, I should imagine, for the families.
PC Nairn makes it his job to watch over the truckers at this time of night. He's also on the lookout for the criminals. This is one of Britain's largest truck parks.
We have a few hundred spaces here for trucks, and it's usually busy every single night of the week. Some people just don't imagine what it's like to sleep in a truck. Some of these drivers, you know, 20, 25 years, what they call tramping up and down the road, sleeping in a bed that's 8 foot long and barely 3 foot wide.
Not every trucker is sleeping soundly.
Were your doors pinned back when that happened?
That happened.
Already there's been an attempted break-in.
Where were you parked up when this happened?
At the petrol station, jumped in, used the toilet, cup of coffee, and come out, and that's that.
Was there no any other drivers parked nearby that could tell you?
They've seen anything.
Many drivers have stories of horrific attacks. This woman was gassed while she slept in her truck.
When I woke up in the morning, I felt pretty rotten, and my wine was stolen. I never heard a thing, and I had a pallet of heaters that was stolen as well.
Yeah, they'll spray stuff in the vents at the front.
Yeah.
And when you're fast asleep, you know, as long as they can spray that gas in, it's going to knock you out. They can then climb into your trailer, do as much as they want, moving around, and you don't feel it moving.
No.
Fast asleep.
That is pretty rough. I don't think I sleep that well, actually. I'm always conscious of noises.
Right.
Yeah, this is a business where you've got some very hard, nasty people who will go to very great lengths to achieve what they want, because there's big money involved.
And PC Nairn is now after at least one of those nasty people. Another motorway patrol is chasing a stolen truck. And PC Nairn is needed.
101 Smoky Mike, can you confirm the speed of the vehicle, please? And
The lorry is carrying a load of steel worth £35,000. The thieves stole it from a lorry park, ramming it through the gates.
Quite nearby. We're getting close.
There are now 3 patrol cars chasing the lorry. Above them is a police helicopter.
Vehicle is normal speed and there is minimal traffic.
Can you get this vehicle closer just in case you get a runner?
Do you wish me to attempt stopping them?
Pursuing a vehicle of this size and weight is high risk. The police are going to try and use one of their latest weapons, a barracuda, a line of large spikes which can chew a truck's tyre to pieces.
Mid dog handler's just waiting up ahead of you, so there's going to be a free-for-all if they do a decamp.
Are there any units with barracuda around this vehicle at the moment, Should this vehicle fail to stop, I am direct with a hind, at a marked police car, T-Park train, Stinger on board, received over.
Yeah, Oscar Tango 22 cutting in. We're at the junction with Lower Street on the A41. Received.
I want to that patrol, have you got a barracuda?
Yes, sir.
Stand by, and I'll count you down.
Stopping a 15-ton truck with a row of spikes is easier said than done.
Vehicle is approaching the lights.
We now have the barracuda being deployed.
The driver has seen the barracuda.
It's only stopped just prior to the barracuda sign.
He's had enough.
Yankee Mike, vehicle is stopped.
You're under arrest and suspicion of theft of this vehicle. You don't have to say anything about any harm to your defence. You don't mention when questioned, something which you later line in court. And anything you do say may be given evidence, you understand?
Yours?
No, we have to get in a room.
We'll take him in ours if you want.
Yeah. You can see the ignition damage in the car and the cabs inside, so he's obviously broken into the truck and stole this from a yard early in the night.
The truck thief is alone, but when the crime was first reported, it was said there were 3 men involved. This man could be part of a larger, more organised gang.
95% of instances is inside information, because you need to know what vehicle you're targeting. You could end up with a lorry load of potatoes.
Back at the police station, the thief has changed his tune. Now he's full of remorse.
I could have took chase and killed somebody.
No, you've done the sensible thing, like stopping.
And claiming he's never done anything like this before.
I'll find out and I'll get straight back to you.
But PC Nairn isn't convinced.
Do you hold a full UK licence? No. Are you disqualified? No. Oh well then. That's one less thing to worry about.
How many police cars was there then?
Behind me, 1, 2.
There was about 20 police cars then when I turned round.
Yeah, eventually when you stopped. Why did you decide to stop the burning question?
Because I've never been catched.
Why not try and drive over that device?
What's the point of driving over it? So they can put more charges on me for criminal damage, or when I get to court they fine me for busting on tyres and whatnot.
PC Nairn is now sure he knows the driver and why he might be so scared of the Barracuda.
Albeit he says he doesn't drive and doesn't have a licence. I have met him before, and it's in a similar circumstances.
This is a video of another lorry chase involving PC Nairn when the Barracuda was also used.
Barracuda device, if you watch, you'll see one of them running across to the centre, and then he pulls a cord which will pull the Barracuda device across the road in front of the truck, which is just there, and it bursts literally every tyre on the truck.
He's gone across Barracuda, gone across, front tyres are out, stand by.
The driver's got no option and his steering just goes as the tyres get deflated. He's onto the hard shoulder and stopped.
Yeah, the driver's out, he's been detained, one in custody.
Still get the same jacket on as they had when he was detained in the stolen truck in Shrewsbury.
The man with the unlucky jumper will have a lot of explaining to do when he's interviewed in the morning. Car crime mirrors that of other vehicle crime. It's becoming more dangerous and more lucrative every year. Last year, over 180,000 vehicles were stolen. 90,000 of them, that's half, were never seen again.
We've got massively less car crime, and we shouldn't forget that point. But such car crime as we now have does risk increased violence.
It's absolutely not a victimless crime. Each time the insurance company take a hit on a stolen vehicle, do they take the hit out of the goodness of their heart? No, they don't. Every time that car gets stolen, you and I take a hit.
I can understand the police having other priorities at this stage, but in terms of economic damage cost to the country as a whole, I think it deserves a higher priority, a much higher priority than it currently is being ascribed.
It is your second most valuable possession, so if you can put it in the garage, keep it in the garage. Simple steps like hide your keys in the evening. It's awful to have to say these things, but it's your car, you've got to protect it from the people that want to take it off you.
The lorry thief was charged with taking the vehicle and pleaded guilty. The woman with the stolen caravan had no further action taken against her. And Sergeant Ash and the team found enough evidence to convict the smash and grab thief. He got 4 months suspended sentence and 100 hours community service.